If the idea of a surprise IRS notice makes you nervous, this is why it happens and how to prevent it. Okay, and this can happen even if you didn't do anything wrong. Most surprise IRS notices don't start with cheating or aggressive tax strategies. They start because the IRS assumes something that was income and the tax code allows them to do that. Once that assumption is made, the rules flip. The IRS doesn't have to prove they're right, you have to prove they're wrong. In this video, I'm going to show you how the IRS legally makes the assumption that you received more money than you reported and what you need to do now to make sure a notice like that never shows up in your mail. And I'm Jasmine DiLucci. I'm a practicing tax attorney, CPA, and enrolled agent. I got my first tax license as an enrolled agent in high school, and now I spend a lot of my time working inside IRS audits and tax controversy cases, and the majority of IRS notices are preventable with the information that we're going to cover in this video. In this video, I'm going to walk you through three things, okay? Why the IRS can send you a tax bill without ever auditing you, how the law puts the burden on you to prove that the IRS is wrong and what to do about it, and how to prevent a surprise IRS notice in the first place. If you understand these three pieces, you'll understand why so many IRS notices feel like they come out of nowhere and how to stay out of that situation entirely. Let's start with why and when the IRS can send you a tax bill without looking at the details. Okay, this comes down to when the IRS can presume you received income and then make you prove they're wrong. This can happen in two main ways. The first is 1099s and IRS auto matching. Okay, when a 1099 or other tax document is issued under your social security number, the IRS automatically treats that amount as gross income under IRC 61. And this is important. The system does not ask or know whether the 1099 was correct, duplicative, issued in error. If the 1099 exists on your account and your return doesn't match it, the IRS assumes income was omitted, no audit is required. The mismatch alone is enough to trigger a notice. The second way this happens is during audits through what's called the bank deposits method. Okay, courts have consistently held that bank deposits are prima facie evidence of income. Prima facie is a fancy legal term that means the IRS has met its initial legal burden of proving income just by pointing to the deposit itself. That means if money hits your account, whether it's a gift, an inheritance, a reimbursement, or even a transfer between your own accounts, the IRS will presume it's income and put you on defense. So legally, let's go over why this is the case so that we know how to deal with it. Okay, under US tax law, the burden of proof generally rests with the taxpayer, not with the IRS, and that principle is built into decades of case law and outlined in IRC 7491. And there's a very practical reason for this. You are the one who has the information. The IRS doesn't know why a deposit hit your account, whether money was a loan, a gift, or income, whether income was already taxed, whether an exclusion applies, you do. And because you control the records, the law places the burden on you to produce them. IRC 7491 does allow the burden to shift to the IRS, but only if the taxpayer first does their part. Okay, to shift the burden, you must maintain adequate books and records, properly substantiate items, fully cooperate with the IRS, and raise a credible factual dispute. If any of those conditions fail, the burden never shifts, it stays with you. So once the IRS asserts income, whether based on a 1099, a bank deposit, or third-party reporting, you need to prove that the money was not income. The amount falls under a specific exclusion. The income was already taxed, or the deposit was a loan, return of capital, or transfer. And if you can't prove one of those with documentation, the IRS's presumption stands. The IRS presumption is that it is taxable gross income because the tax law on gross income, IRC 61, defines gross income as all income from whatever source derived. That language is intentionally broad. Tax law does not operate on the idea that only certain items count as income. It operates on the opposite assumption. Everything counts as income unless a rule says that it doesn't. So yes, even finding $10 on the ground is technically taxable income. Okay, most people won't report it, but legally it counts. That's also why illegal income is taxable and why tax fraud is such an effective tool against people like drug dealers or other crimes, right? The source doesn't matter. The default rule, it's income. That's why the IRS is legally able to default to income and why the burden falls on the taxpayer to rebut that assumption. The problem is this can create a tax bill that is incorrect. Some common examples: 1099s issued in error, debt cancellation reported on a 1099-C that is excludable under IRC 108 for insolvency or bankruptcy, or deposits that include loans, gifts, inheritance, or owner's contributions. So let's talk about how to protect yourself because this is the part that actually matters, right? The goal is simple. First, prevent IRS notices that tax 1099 income that's wrong, duplicated, or not taxable. And second, protect yourself from the IRS assuming non-taxable deposits are income in the first place. Step 1, always review your IRS transcripts before filing or as soon as possible after filing. Okay, your tax return only shows what you reported. IRS transcripts show what third parties reported about you. That's where surprise 1099s and other tax forms live. You want to see what the IRS sees and make sure it's addressed on your return before the IRS sends a notice. I have a full workshop on how to review your IRS transcripts in my free community, but the short version is that you should report and disclose all 1099s on your return rather than leaving them off, even if they're wrong. If it's wrong, then you would want to handle it on the return, potentially by reversing it out if appropriate and outlining the detailed support of your position. Step 2, paper deposits in real time. If you run a business, deposits should never be unexplained unless they're income. Okay, loans should have promissory notes. Owner contributions should be labeled and tracked with proof on both sides of the transaction. Reimbursements should be supported, and gifts should have documented intent and often a matching gift tax return. Because once your audit starts, your explanations do not carry the same weight as real-time evidence. The courts will call this self-serving testimony, and they very often ignore self-serving testimony. So most surprise IRS bills are not about cheating. They're about defaults built into the tax system, right? Gross income under IRC 61, presumptions created by deposits and 1099s, and a burden of proof that stays on the taxpayer unless very specific conditions are met. If you understand how these rules work and document accordingly, you can stop these problems before they ever turn into an IRS notice. That's how you stay compliant. That's how you avoid getting taxed on income you didn't receive. And that's how you stay out of my office. And if you want more videos on how to stay out of my office, subscribe and tell me in the comments any other tax law that you want me to break down next.